FunPlus Phoenix are one game away from punching their ticket to the World Championships in Europe for 2019. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, joined again by these lovely gentlemen. But FPX slowly coming into this game, slowly coming into this series and starting to remind us as to why they're the #1 seed overall in LPL.
So, I like the fact that you mentioned how close they are to going to Worlds, but also what's more important to a lot of these players is just going to the damn LPL finals. For Doinb at the very least, he made it last time with Calgary Reapers, didn't win it though. So he hasn't still won an LPL championship for how long he's been here in the LPL. And this man has had a pretty long career here where he had to fight back in because there's that history with newbie to go straight through the LSPL, come right back in. So he qualified for the LPL twice. And he just needs that championship. So there's a lot on the line for both of these teams. And for me, for FPX, for how close they're able to nail that, it's pretty damn good for their history.
And for FPX, of course, they have got an MVP of the last series. It was Tain on the Silas who was the MVP. 70% kill participation, 4-1 and 10. The guy was just good.
Yes, he was, as per usual, picture-perfect Tain. You know, when you're watching both Meteor and Tain play the map out, you watch great high-level jungle play. And so at the end of the day, if you ask me, I would end up giving MVP over to Doinb in a lot of these cases. What would you give it to?
I actually wanted to give it to GimGoon because of his performance on the Mordekaiser and how he was setting up things, but Tain for me really did play a great facilitation role. He was able to camp onto the top lane multiple times, and they really don't have a response. BLG have allowed this to happen over and over again, and if Silas can continue to do this, I think they can have a great chance to close out in Game 4.
And at the end of the day, if you just get perfection a lot of the times, you don't get to appreciate it about the 30th time that you end up seeing it. And so, you know, Tain, as you mentioned, GimGoon and Doinb really set up the map. Well, Tain was there along the way. The first person to end up clearing out War's bot side, instilling fear in Jinjiao and XinMo, even the first gank that you saw in the initial replay. And these fights, so FPX only snowballed because of that. So really worthwhile being able to see FPX in peak form.
I will say he also never let a smite go. That's pretty cool because there's been a lot of close steals in this one. However, he secured both Barons, and in this one, he lets ADD get a taste of his own medicine by driving the Slicing Maelstrom straight into the composition.
I loved that last play just because of the use of the Pantheon ult. Everyone expects Pantheon to drop right on top of their head, just the full small damage actually. And then being able to instantly nail one carry, he comes in at the back. At the back door, where no one sees him, and he just waits behind the terrain where Ezreal blips over the wall, and he's like, wait, where'd you come from?
He's not actually building that much damage. It's a your Pantheon's so fat type of situation. He's just coming down for the crowd control, not actually killing you.
Well, that's a lot of damage on an Ezreal too. So I would say for the Ezreal, you're still hurting. But for everyone else, yes, the damage starts to depreciate. The overall composition of BLG was getting a lot more competitive. But those are the fights that FPX have been trying to fish for a long time. And thankfully, this iteration of FPX can set up for the fight so well. That's why you attribute a lot of the current success to Chris, LWX, and Coach Warhorse in the team.
Yeah, definitely. They have been running like a well-oiled machine the entire way, and what I expect from BLG now is trying to trade back onto the bottom side. Throughout this series, I don't think Jinjiao has been performing any worse than LWX. I actually feel like they've been very evenly matched. It's just come down to the champion picks that has slid away from them, and they have to answer if ADD camp is going to be open every single split.
Yeah, if you get to this stage of the, summer split, you had a full year with the team where you play towards topside pretty religiously, and we also talked about the strength of BLG being that they know their roles. Deciding to change that up and saying, well, we need to really counter what's happening in the bot side of the map, that's a real discussion that happens in the locker room where Jinjiao as a person is like, yeah, in the past with Ime, I can play towards the Kaylin, I can play towards the Jin, I can have a lot of pressure within the lane. But now you're asking a lot from the team to go outside that realm of comfortability.
But I think as well, like you guys touched on, FPX and BLG have both been performing to a level that we expect them to perform. It's just that FPX are just better. Now you're asking for BLG to surpass their actual 100% and try and get, ahead of someone who is arguably just ahead of them.
You know what my solution is for BLG? ban the Pantheon. I think the actual composition itself could work really well if the Pantheon didn't make it incredibly hard to track Doinb, and that's ultimately the issue here. Maybe we end up seeing the rise because of the ban in Pantheon, but at least force FPX to adapt in the series. I think that's a major concern that I have because it's far too easy for Pantheon to get going.
If you're going to lose, don't lose to the same thing.
Yes.
That's kind of it. At least you can say, look, we tried all avenues, we tried all, options. Unfortunately, we just wound up for it on the day.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's more like there are two things you can go for. Either you ban the Pantheon, play the exact same composition, let the Pantheon go, or play towards mid lane and kind of pressure the Pantheon a little bit more, or have a lot more defensive options there so the Kennen is not always just putting his head out there for the guillotine to come down.
And talking about the top lane, GimGoon 7-1 before last game, took 29% of the team's damage, getting people locked up, always taking away one part of the AoE CC in those team fights, and dishing out 22.5 himself. So great performance again, once from what is a blue-collar top laner.
You know what's really funny? Like, that damage taken stat is a really good one, simply because it talks about the role of the player. It's not like a positive thing. It's like, oh, this man took so much damage. Well, what was his role? Is he a tank player? Like, what is he actually providing for the team? For BLG, historically, Amazing J has been their top laner, where he was just soaking up so much damage for the team as either the J4, sometimes Camille, which is a little bit odd, but then he would come in with like his Mundo play or something wacky, right? Something that could be a major tank in the top lane. ADD has actually taken that role. So if we're just talking about damage taken stats, ADD has been one of the highest damage taken stat goers for the LPL top laners. And so that's interesting because in the early portions of the season, he's played the Fiora. He's willing to play Kennen and play towards that style. But if we're just talking about what's comfortable for the team, what's comfortable is him playing more bruises and tanks.
Yeah, if you look at how the bans have been shaping up, ADD has not been allowed Aatrox or Nart. It's been banned away every single game so far, so they definitely know the potential for ADD to take over the lane there.
Yes.
Instead, what they're doing is saying, you know what? We're going to let you some weird picks out of these two, but we're going to camp the hell out of you. And BLG has to have an answer right here. This is why I really like teams that can play through all three lanes, and that's the question that BLG now has to answer. Can you do like FPX is able to swap up between bot and top?
It is crunch time for the side of BLG. FPX, though, don't look at me like that, Raz.
I see what you're doing.
Yeah, I know.
You stop it.
It's crunch time.
There's
Doritos.
too much crunch happening here.
But FPX now, as you said, or as we said, one game away from the LPL finals, one game away from locking themselves into those top two spots for the summer split and also making sure that they get themselves to Worlds.
Yes, and as a recap, one thing I made a point of for BLG, we need more Sejuani here. One of the most successful picks for the split there for BLG has been the Aurelia, so I don't want them going away from what was successful for them during the split, is having double bruisers. And you know what you've mentioned, Clement, the fact that they haven't had the opportunity to pick the Aatrox, once again banned. But there are so many champions that fill that role with the Renekton. I already mentioned the Aurelia, but certainly you can now have that Fiora game if you have the Sejuani unlocked.
Yeah, and it looks like BLG is still aiming for similar strategies, but I would really wish they actually now swap over and go for the Varus and Tahm Kench bottom lane. We've seen them do this before in the playoffs versus EDG, and that's a fair lane to do. It's a very strong pushing lane. And if FPX are going to keep their strategy the same, I think Jinjiao and XinMo are as good as LWX and Crispin lane so far this series. They should be able to step up the challenge and balance the map out.
Let's see, I mean, completely different styles. Pretty damn interesting that FPX are going to be going towards that staple of Nautilus and Kai'Sa. Because, you know, having a conversation about top AD carries of the year, LWX has always been moving up into the top 4, top 3 echelons. You got the pick that you wanted in the Varus Tahm Kench. Jinjiao has just wanted that respect. He has been the most consistent AD carry time and again, but people will always give respect to the Jaculovs, iBoys, Uzis of the world, SMLZ, and Times. And while LWX is moving up because he fills that style, Jinjiao is far and away from that style, but is always performing well.
And Jinjiao as well, he's been on this roster for so long.
Yes,
back when it was IMA,
yes.
back when it was originally IMA, taken over by BLG, even when they did all the changes, he is the one thing that has stayed consistent, showing that he has got the potential to be able to, you know, bout with the big boys, but he has yet to prove it.
I like this draft coming out from BLG. They're finally dipping their toes into the waters of chaos in the LPL. No longer can you play, you know what, bot lane, you are only for counter initiation. That does not fly, because people will camp the hell out of your top side. And now they're saying, you know what, we have to fight everywhere here. While FPX are looking for the same strategy, where they have that game plank able to support bottom.
We'll see what ends up happening on the bot side of the map here, what the next few picks are going to be for BLG. Because my concern is when you have a longer lane, when you have the shove going into Kai'Sa and the Nautilus, a long lane is pretty bad for a Varus that's going to be opened up on by a GP ultimate. So FPX has the ability to just kind of take fights in a longer lane and be happier about it. That's why BLG needs a safety net. Someone other than the Tahm Kench, a top laner in this case, that can come down there and provide space. So I want to see what that's going to be.
Right now it's going to be the Nara and Jarvan banned away by FPX. We see the Elise banned away by BLG. Wouldn't be surprised to see them target another jungler with their final ban. Like I said, I still yet to see the Sejuani, something that is coveted throughout all regions as this, top tier jungle pick right now on 915, 916. Still yet to really kind of find much prominence with it in the side of LPL teams.
I love the fact that we're taking away a lot of the aggressive junglers here by BLG. Remember though, that the Pantheon is still up and running. So you still have to give a lot of respect to that. Rek'Sai is still a major focus in the early game, so you're going to be seeing that locked in. I want to see what BLG's response is going to be, because you can easily have an AP Kai'Sa being locked in and handle another AD mid laner. Please lock in the Sejuani.
What I really would like to see is the Sejuani and Irelia, because we've seen that quadra kill come out for Kuro, doing very well on that combo, but I always do the caster curse, don't talk about flickers.
We'll still find
Azir
it.
still is being quivered right here. So they're looking for some more stability coming for the mid lane. A great pushing lane still, and there should be no way. Oh, this Jax could be a jungle. This is actually one of Meteor's old picks. Is a counter to the Rek'Sai, because you can stop the Queen's Wrath from being used. It does not penetrate the E coming in from Jax. He can't block those out.
And look what you just did. You were talking about not talking about hover, and now you're going to do that again. We're talking about curses.
Hey, it was a counter pick, so it made sense, okay?
Yeah, counter picks are still in there. And Meteor, here's a fun one for me. In the LDL, he was a fantastic Kindred player. Actually, just one of the go-to Kindred players. I know a lot of the times when you think about LDL players coming in with the Kindred play, you think Xiaopeng. But I love the fact that if we're just talking about throwing a wrench into FPX's plans, throwing in the Kindred and now having that early game boost is something I like to see. Another good pickup against the Rek'Sai.
We're seeing FPX coming in with the Season 5 Classic, the double stuns from Ryze and Rek'Sai. Of course, the route is a bit difficult now for the Ryze to actually set up this time, but it works in very much the same ways. We're seeing FPX trying to get the kill lane down, trying to roam around, focusing down on bot lane, while BLG will be able to fight on their own turf this time.
We've seen a lot of Kindred Azir games in the past. Historically, those games pretty scary for the enemy team in team fights, because when you start fighting within that ultimate, then of course Azir is just going to sweep you right out. I love the fact that we're bringing this composition back in a game 4 setting and a match set game setting for BLG. If they lose out with this strategy, well, good luck. You're going to be thrown into the 3rd, 4th place match.
They are going up against Doinb's tried and tested 5-0 in the summer split Ryze. And they're going to have to make sure that they are tip-top shape to make sure they don't get dropped out of this one. Like you said, should they lose this, they go into a 3rd and 4th place match, which they would have to win in order to make it to Gauntlet. So a lot more than just, a series on the line for the side of BLG.
Just going to do a small update on the banners we're seeing right there. It said 100% win rate. Jungler Doinb, and was referring to his last match played so far. Just some Doinb fans out there. You can see he has a great repertoire, speaks great Mandarin, and that Ryze is going to be absolutely scary. I think he's the best Realm Warper that we have so far in the LPL. Very good on those cross-map plays. Is the main shot caller. Let's see a Doinb performance.
We'll have to wait and see. We are going on to the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, for Game 4, the potential last game of this best of 5. Will we be going to Silver Scrapes, or will FPX be seeing themselves in the final? It all comes down to this. Let's get into it.
FunPlus!
Well, she found the mic.
I was going to say, I
That's
feel like
cheating.
they took the mic off her.
Yep.
They were like, no, stop it. You can't do that. That's cheating.
You take what you can get, any advantage. Level 1s, pre-level 1s is what I want to call it.
It's a lot of precision taken by everybody right now.
Precision and grace.
Just taking
Precision and grasp.
Oh!
There you go.
Okay. Clement has to take that. He has to take the bad jokes.
Oh, man.
You've been giving bad jokes to me every time offcast.
Call it even then. Call it even then.
Yeah.
So this is the first time that BLG, I think Kuro's going to have a good time in lane here. Azir does typically have the shove against the Ryze pre-6, so very easy to have him just kind of dominate with the scuttles as well. Of course, FPX does have the better kind of kill combo with the Ryze. So, but as we can see right now, Kuro already able to wander into the river and start setting things up for his jungler.
Great early ward here from Kuro. So just being able to get information is going to be the go-to here. Simply because FPX's side, Tain, is, as you mentioned, great kill pressure through mid. If this wave gets frozen out, can often find that space, try and burn a flash from Kuro. And even if you don't get a flash, if he ends up just using his WEQ to be able to get out of that situation, that's a lot of mana that's expended, and suddenly Doinb has a lot of free space within the lane, and a lot of wave clear too. Ryze is pretty good on that one if he has that level of safety.
Now we do have to mention the Ryze after the rework no longer gains shields when he stores up on the runes anymore, so he's a lot easier to kill just in the laning phase, and Kindred is one of those champions that does have a very good time at attacking mid lanes. With the range, with the red buff, you do get some easy snipes onto the mid lane, so that is a very volatile mid-jungle duo from both sides.
And I like the side from Kuro, knowing that his ward is still on that blue buff, and actually, as I say, that hook going to land going to be a little bit of traded damage for the tanks, but knowing that the blue buff had not been taken yet, recognized Rek'Sai was probably still on the top side of the jungle, pats himself towards the bot side, and this could potentially be a free buff here for the side of BLG.
Yeah, there's not going to be too much what Tain can do because bot side's been shoved in at the right time. A pretty large wave there too, so seems like XinMo is going to be there to be able to support him. Remember, a Tahm Kench can also just nab it too. Next time it calls off cooldown, you can just Q, W, pick up the blue buff, put it in your court, so Meteor now has control over it. He doesn't even have to take it, just has to deny it away from Tain, so has that experience advantage.
Going to be pushing up this mid lane with his mid laner as well, so just make sure he gets that priority there. And Tain now finding himself up towards this top side. ADG not in the best of shapes as GimGoon was able to kind of take some easy parlay trades.
Good call from Tain, goes up top side, picks up the experience from the scuttle, and also just denies the mark from Meteor, because that's where the mark ultimately landed on. So also was actually in a pretty good position to get a gank up top side with how much damage GimGoon was dissing out. So good response, and now, as we can see, ping's coming down. BLG wants to come back towards that blue buff.
They realized that Tain did not actually take his blue, and that's why he was able to go to Scuttle so quickly. And this is something we see a lot with Tain. When he's playing this Rek'Sai, he will hold on to the buff for his mid laner.
Could see a 4v4 coming out here as Kuro and Doinb trade blows. The smite is not going to be enough from Tain. We were only commending him in that last game for his strong smites, and unfortunately for him, he does lose out in that war.
And at the end of the day, neither top laner has to join in on the play. They both had teleport for the position, but it was BLG that recognized that Nautilus was closing in, backing up a little bit, playing that smite war, and as you mentioned, Meteor was the ultimate winner on that one. So really good early game coming in here from BLG.
And you can see the effect of BLG now having a strong bottom lane. This is the fourth game and the first one where they have this sort of an advantage here, and they're using it very well. I actually think Jinjiao is perfectly okay going up against LWX, and we might be seeing the 3v3 coming in. Tain spots it though.
Does spot the tremor senses right there, realizing that he is probably not alone in his jungle route right now. We'll pick up the back end of those Krugs, and actually that's going to be the recall coming in. Hook lands, that's going to be the Devour down. FPX just trying to trade as much as they possibly can. Tain is there should they want to go for this dive.
Doinb is also moving down as well. BLG need to leave their towers.
Can they though? That is the question as we see. Nothing really going to be happening, though, from that bot side. GimGoon, though, still owning this top side now with Sheen able to really heavily trade against this Akali.
Yeah, what we're seeing is both sides, GimGoon, LWX, and Chris, the side lanes, have been aggressively pursuing trades. and that is the FPX go-to way of trying to set up for dives. So great from Jinjiao and XinMo to be able to keep topped up, Guardians helping that out as well, but ADD has no way to defend that. So ADD being able to, of course, pick up a lot of DPS, under great threat now from Tain, just going topside and looking for a dive.
Yeah, and we have seen this trade in this series already. GimGoon seems to have ADD's number in this one, always pushing in. And it really is up to BLG to kind of respond to this. We are seeing right now that Meteor's decision has been to defend the bot side and try to find kills bot side. And it will seem like ADD is going to have a very slow game coming into that potential 4-1 type of situation. If you look at BLG's comp, I think that is what they're aiming for. Just the wave clear and the potential to split push with the Akali.
Take a look at this, because my point here is that Doinb is actually just receiving so much outright gold and experience, picking up both Raptor camp, the enemy Raptor camp on the invade initially, topside his own Raptor camp because you know that Tain is just going to be focusing on ganks and helping his lanes. So it's kind of like that OG, back to season 5 time, exactly, right? So like back in the days where, you know, Doinb is being set up to succeed here. And Meteor is now in a pretty tough position because he goes to his red side jungle, doesn't have Krugs, doesn't have Raptors, has to play topside. He's been topside for quite some time when he wants to be there for Jinjiao and XinMo.
This is getting pretty close to being out of hand in terms of the top lane matchup. I think BLG actually needs a gank up here. This is, you see ADD being zoned out by 2 waves already. The matchup doesn't favor him. He's constantly losing HP. Can't go for the sustain items because he's losing so hard. And it really does call for a gank, or we could see a repeat of Game 3 and Game 2.
He's talking for a gank, but it is going to be FPX who are going to be the ones fishing for it. Tain is hovering towards this top side. Wave is, however, in the favor of FPX, so that will be pushing into BLG. The recall comes in, and ADD should be able to pick up most of this CS.
Yeah, because it's not only, you know, Clement that's kind of calling for that gank. So for Rek'Sai to be up there with the wave pushing into Akali, he just wants to protect them, look for a counter gank. And so if Kindred ends up finding a way topside, pretty difficult for ADD and Meteor to ever look for a fight. So here's a small thing about the matchup between Kindred and Rek'Sai, is that Rek'Sai can actually outplay the Kindred ultimate. Just if you're in a fight, when she's stacking marks on you, and you're just about, you know, the ultimate's just about to fall through, press your own ultimate, you'll still be able to get that burst of damage in the outset, so when they're pretty low in HP, that's actually a good way to fight through the Lamstress fight. So that's only if the Rek'Sai is confident in his team's position in that fight. We'll have to see if that position is ever possible. Oh, look at all these control wards, or at least that one control ward on the far end of the bush, allowing Meteor to push through the lane.
Meteor looking and fishing to see if he can catch out any kind of a rotation. There is going to be a pause.
Okay.
First one of the series. Not bad.
Yeah, nothing really happened there. Of course, there was a teleport being channeled mid lane. Maybe it had something to do with that. There's also, actually I had no idea what's happening top side. So we'll see what ends up happening from the pause.
And I think that play from Meteor right there was actually much more defensive in nature. You saw the pings going down onto Doinb's rise. He was missing from lane. They were waiting for the teleport from Azir to come down, and they have that awareness now to always follow the jungler when a lane is pushing up like that. They've been taught very well by this series to never underestimate the roaming potential of FunPlus Phoenix.
And I just like the gank setup through the lane. If that comes out successfully, then, I mean, you just win no matter what, because if it ends up being the FPX gank to follow through, great counter gank there from Kindred, you should be able to succeed in that one. And if you just end up finding a pick, because they have a pretty good lane to look for it, then you can get full control of bot side, look for a dragon control ward there. I think it's, you know, just coming out of the pause, I think we're in a really positive situation for BLG in this game.
I think BLG has good ability to actually go for the dragon fights as well, and that would be a great opportunity to actually take themselves out of the laning situation. The laning for top lane right now is very unbearable. It's close to being one-sided for GimGoon, and they need to find a way out of it. So if they could start a team fight with bot lane priority, that would be a good call and a good attempt to kind of move the game forward.
Yeah, I at least think that Akali is doing well enough. I know she's 10 CS under last time we
about
checked.
2 ways more than that.
But point being, you know, Akali in the lane, at least if she can set up when she's able to pick up, not even necessarily a gunplate, as long as it's, you know, the ability to lock you down. I'm trying to remember what it's called, Bilgewater Cutlass, then you can set up for the game. And it's really what it comes down to. GP would be in a pretty tough position if the 2-man, 3-man gank topside ended up coming through. That's my concern there for GP. because while he's doing well to poke throughout the lane, Akali is still able to get to that Akali point.
Yeah, we have
so
seen
that's
this
my
build from ADD be actually very much defensive in nature. Usually, a lot of times, the Akali does go for more of the offensive build where they're looking to trade back on the game plan and keep the lane even on that with the Doran's ring. But this time, it's just straight Doran's shield into the Seeker's arm guard. So sustain is delayed because of it, and he's just trying to survive there.
Well, I mean, Fleet Footwork's going to help him out.
True.
So the armor is great, Fleet Footwork is great. He should be able to keep underneath turret for some time. So I think that's completely fine. My only issue is going back to the old ganking point. If you end up ganking topside, great. Problem is, control ward's been pretty heavy for the team.
Just a quick update for anyone watching at home. We have got a pause. BLG have requested an emergency restroom break.
Oh!
So we have to have a player run to the restroom and quickly come back. As soon as he's back, we'll get ourselves back into games. So.
And we can't get memed because we don't have that lower third saying restroom break.
Nope.
That's a smart play, LPL. A lot of those pictures right now coming in from the LCK of restroom break, we get to dodge that
when nature
because we
calls,
don't have a lower third.
When you gotta go, you gotta go. There is no if, buts, or maybes about it.
Force of nature may be out of the rift, but it's still on the game.
Look, at the end of the day, drink that water. That's what I gotta say.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated at all costs.
Summoners.
In the LPL, we will even accommodate you going to the washroom as long as you drink some water.
I'm pretty sure you're only allowed one chance to go.
Yeah, one shot's basically gonna go. Like I'm sure they start to ask questions if every single game you're just like,
right
I'm sorry.
before the team fight. You
yeah,
know,
right as you're setting up for Dragon or something. But yeah, BLG the ones causing the pause. Gives everyone a time to, gives us time to think, gives everyone else on the side of, BLG and FPX time to think about what their next move is.
Hey, you know what? Most important life decisions, you could be surprised, ends up happening in the toilet, in the washroom.
Is that a personal experience here you're laying on our viewers?
Also,
if
you watch a few... What?
It's like going to the men's room. I've decided
I don't know how I feel about
caster.
that. I don't know how I feel about that statement. But I will say, like,
when you were on Dig.
Watching the Sopranos. Oh, you gotta stop it. All right? We gotta calm down.
I'm like building this like universe
I'm trying to just
you.
literally talk about the greatest shows of all time. And
LPL
how
Origins, Raz, the Dig story.
All right, you know what? You guys are done. You guys can keep this cast to yourselves. We don't need to be a TriCast. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. RNG versus...
Well, you won't see me tomorrow.
No, that's true.
Yeah, you'll have Jake, your favorite.
Oh, I set some jealousy here. What's going on?
Right, that's cool, that's cool.
I'm just saying, it hurts sometimes, You never ask me for b-ball.
Anyway, we're going to have these conversations afterwards.
Yeah, in the privacy, away from X amount of viewers.
Just so people end up knowing, casting team did go out play basketball yesterday, and we came to the stark realization that both Hysterics and BP don't know how to play basketball.
That's true.
Literally have never played in their lives, so they're just like hurling the ball.
Hey, you taught me, and I improved.
You did improve.
Right.
You did improve. It was Jake that was just Hysterics in this case. Hurling the ball.
Hysterics was trying to just shut down the board. He was trying to hurl like he was doing a
He was trying to break the basket. He was trying to break the basket with pure power.
Just think about a grenade motion, and that was what he did.
That's true, actually. Now you mention it.
He just chucked it. So don't do that. Please don't. But just so new viewers coming in, we did talk about the break and how the pause has come through. Focus on the idea of, idea that the bot lane shove's been happening on the side of BLG. A much better game, actually. Far better game. I was a little concerned because I know that your point was that you wanted to see them have some bot lane focus.
They need to be able to trade back if ADD gets camped. That was the problem in the game, the previous 2 games that happened.
And I was a little concerned about that because I know it's outside their realm of counterability, but at least with Tom Kent and Paris, you can do both things. You can actually soak in a lot of pressure. You can even thin out the wave if you end up looking to get dove. Or you can play through it post 6 with Varus ultimate. And I think that we're on, the latter of that one. They're definitely playing a lot more towards the bot side of the map.
And Kuro also has his fabled Azir. He is the most prolific Azir player we have in the LPL. Always gets his lane shoved out. And actually, before this, in terms of the EDG series, he's played almost nothing but Azir throughout. Actually, to finish off his regular split, he played at least 5 consecutive games of Azir to cap that one out, just hiding all of his champion picks. I thought it was for something funky. We just haven't seen it so far.
So I've been doing some investigative work. I see the chair to the left of Jinjiao being empty.
I've already got this figured out. XinMo's the one.
What? No, I'm saying Kuro. We're going to
No,
find out.
we had a shot of Kuro.
Oh, you're right.
He's
okay,
right there.
I was wrong.
I was going to say, I was like, we've been on Kuro quite a few times. In fact,
followed him?
In fact, Clement made reference to him as he came on screen.
Hey,
That'd be pretty terrifying. We followed them to the restroom.
Hey, you gotta, this is competitive integrity. You gotta make sure that's all good, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely
That's true, that's true.
But yeah, you're right. Kuro's right here. I'm sorry about this. My investigative work is at a close.
Small tangent here. If Kuro makes it all the way to next year, he would actually be the oldest player in the LPL. If ClearLove is no longer on the roster. So, you know, that is something that Kuro can be proud of. He's actually 25, pretty old for a player, and a lot of veteranship. If he could show up in 2 finals in both LCK and LPL, a massive achievement for him.
Yeah, I mean, of course, just from the focus of the LPL, because in the LCS you have a lot of old gentlemen. Just going to put that out there. So, at least in the LPL, we have a lot of teams that have an incredibly young roster. In fact, you know, darting straight towards is a point. Top Esports, we're going to be seeing them tomorrow, so that's an easy one. A lot of young players. Invictus Gaming was built around that as a concept, so it is kind of crazy that we're seeing a lot of young mechanics come up, especially if you are playing your playstyles primarily around fiery early game fights, and you're having great coaching staffs to kind of build up the rest of it. As long as you have strong mechanics, just from the beginning of the year, you can build the rest. And so, good idea from a lot of the team building focus from the LPL teams.
And I've really been impressed by how fast good new talent can then go into starting positions on a lot of these teams. You're talking about Tain, you're talking about Meteor, who came up from the LPL just being impressive right out the gate.
He's back!
And we're back in game.
He drank a lot of water, buddy.
Yeah, that was a bathroom break for the ages. But Scuttle going to be taken here by Meteor as the bot lane from the side of BLG, where the ones that sculled up. Actually, as I say, that went down to 1 HP. Just pick himself up his first stack of the game, and now BLG look to see if they can make anything happen using their newly found ultimates on their bot lane and mid and jungles.
Oh, but here we have a potential.
Oh, double flash in. The Lamb's Respite going to keep him alive just long enough. XinMo comes in as well. It's Cannon Barrage. There's the flash in with the Chain of Corruption, but it's 2 quick kills for Doinb as the Killer Instinct jumped in on the Jinjiao. He just cannot keep himself alive. Kuro has to flash away, and after a prolonged pause, FPX come back in with 3.
I think we need to go back to the bathroom and just think about that one. That was a huge play made by FPX in a dominoes play coming in from BLG. Let's see what ends up happening here. A lot of damage.
Yeah, GimGoon trying to go toe-to-toe with ADD. ADD feels like he might have the damage, but that barrel's going to swap it back. Flash not going to be enough to bring him down, but GimGoon has got the movement speed. ADD will just survive.
ADD tried to get that den while the Cannon Barrage was down. Unfortunately, couldn't finish off the solo kill, but I want to go back into the previous play.
You ain't going to get a chance. Let's see what ends up happening.
He's just backing out. He's backing out. We could.
Right.
And what happened there was actually Jinjiao had an extra buy over the over LWX, and he wasn't there in lane. So FPX actually had priority in that bottom lane. We're able to collapse, and BLG kind of just forgot about the situation momentarily.
Oh no.
GimGoon is hiding. GimGoon is setting a trap. GimGoon waits patiently.
Let's get him.
And then goes straight in with the barrel, looking for the ADD. Not going to be able to get him with the parlay, but again, more pressure towards that top side.
Remember the last time he had him around 30 HP. So he was just sitting, lying in wait for the next one. Really close, but at least ADD was able to pick up the experience and get the hell out of there.
It is a good force by GimGoon nonetheless. Will force ADD to at least miss part of this wave. And we're going to see things calm down, but with FPX reversing the fate in the bot side, I'm pretty sure this Kaisa and Nautilus now have the right of way.
My issue with the last fight, now that we have some time to breathe and talk about it, was not so much that Meteor got caught because, to your point, you know, they didn't have the priority there. But it was the response from Jinjiao to come in, for Kuro to do the same, and they ended up having to not only lose their life for it, Kuro had to burn his own summoners too. So at that stage, Meteor had taken a lot of damage. You cannot take that fight as a response. They found that out a little bit too late, and now they're pretty deep in that hole 12 minutes into the game.
The extra ultimate from Cannon Barrage on GimGoon's side also changed a lot of how that fight really played out. Just the damage from FPX pouring in was too much for BLG to handle. And like I was talking about, no longer do they have priority in this lane.
They haven't got priority in that lane, nor do they have priority in mid. You can see on the minimap there, Doinb was roaming down, had got the Realm Orb, and pure vision control on that bot side of the jungle in favor of FPX means that they're going to be able to take out as many plates as they really want.
Now, BLG are just forced to trade. Meteor, at the very least, will go towards a Rift Herald. He has the time to do that. The concern is that he can't look topside for a gank towards GimGoon. Doinb is actually strong enough to push through mid and stop Meteor to go for the Rift Herald play. So let's see what ends up happening through mid lane, especially so now suddenly Rek'Sai is here.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to try and fight over this scuttle, but priority does belong to the Nautilus, who's actually made his way up towards that mid lane. So right now, FPX could be able to steal away another mark. And Meteor, he needs these stacks to actually start get going, because realistically, if he's only sitting on 1 or 2, he just hasn't got the damage.
The key thing that they're trying to do is catch people out of transition. Unfortunately, not able to get it.
Speaking of transition, we can see now FPX are transitioned up towards this top side. They have got a teleport for LWX and Jinjiao. This could be a 5v5 fight coming on top of this. Crisp and Tain now in a bit of a sore spot, if you like. Rift Herald still procced. Rift Herald still fairly healthy when you think about it as well. Not really in a burstable position. They will just jump in on top of this one there. There is the ultimate from the Nautilus and the Cannon Barrage on top of it as well. The Doinb goes in, but they're not going to be able to get enough damage. It's a great Shurima shuffle coming in on top of this. They will be able to pick up 2 kills, not quite getting the 3rd, but Rift Herald went over to GimGoon on the top side.
Great response play from BLG. XinMo not only was able to tank the initial Q from Crisp, went golden, so now you can't even get past him. So great job, had control over it, and now can go straight towards this mid lane turret.
That was a great comeback for BLG. Smart way to play the flank that FPX were throwing at them. It was coming from 2 sides. Kuro understands you just deal with the side that has more numbers, and then you can turn around and do whatever you want with that one. Very well done.
Immediate respect there from ADD, going straight into the Shroud there as GimGoon has got the Rift Herald now. Not going to be able to get any turret plates with it, so they're going to hold on to that one there and make sure they're able to utilize it to its fullest.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch GimGoon being able to pick up the Rift Herald, so that is a major win with that being done, because I was wondering what contribution he had to the fight. Very difficult coming in at a flank at this level, but the ultimate must have been in. Let's see. Oh, he was so focused on the actual Rift Herald itself. Screw you guys. I got the real objective at hand.
I got mine, but I just want to commend Jinjiao on that initial Chains of Corruption. He actually hits 4 targets right there and forces all members of FPX on the right side back, and that just leaves Crisp to the Wolves.
Look, GimGoon is an objective-focused individual. While everyone else is going at a lost fight, he has his eyes on the prize, and let's see what he can get with it, because it may be post-turret plating, but now you can get a lot of pressure for the top side of the map.
They got TN up here as well, so the Rek'Sai are going to be able to escort the Rift Herald, and I think GimGoon just wants enough gold to get himself his Triforce and back away. It's probably why we haven't seen him go back in a very long time. They're going to be able to pick up the first turret of the game going over to FPX.
Sheen and Demolish just works wonders for you right there. Not to mention Shelly, of course, throwing her weight in on that one as well. And now FPX are able to rotate GimGoon around the map this time.
So one thing you wanted to see not happen for for BLG is for bot lane to start bleeding. But as you can see from the turret plating, with how much pressure was coming through in the last team fight, 320 of that turret plating goes back towards LWX. So pretty insane that we're now back in a position where LWX is rolling in what is a double tier composition for Rise, who is now fully stacked up, while Muramana is still being picked up here from LWX.
Right
very
now,
fast Seraphs.
I was going to say, right now, that Seraphs is pretty huge, considering that the team fight implications it could have makes it very difficult to actually kill this Rise. But right now, BLG hunting for someone just to be making the wrong rotation. This is the power that you get with, a Rek'Sai pick. Those tremor senses huge when it comes down to actually just knowing where anybody is.
I like how BLG are playing this one. They have great ability to just hold down on the choke, so they could actually just start the Baron and then throw the Chains of Corruptions or the Emperor's Divide at these choke points and still have enough time to take them down.
Yeah, for now, Dragon being the primary focus, Mountain Dragon is going to be really, a good pickup here for BLG. Let's see what ends up happening. You're right. I mean, the Emperor Shurima really giving him a lot of space to work with, but FPX just diving straight through.
Crisp has got flash if he wanted to go for a flash engage. Knows he's on a pink ward, so no real vision on him at the moment. We are going to see the Akali going in now, looking for a TP flank. Smite fight, Dragon down to about 2,500 HP, down to about 2,000. Now they're going to turn straight away onto the side of the FPX top laner, or sorry, the BLG top laner. It's going to be Kindred taking that one there. There's the cannon barrage, but LWX is down. That's going to be a kill over to Kindred. They're going to try and get them out of this fight. They will get everybody out, but they lose the Dragon, they lose a kill.
Yeah, lost LWX, and when the Smite fight came through, BLG starting to come up trumps here. So while FPX is the one in the goal lead, that's going to be changing real soon with how well BLG has been able to play a lot of these fights.
Damn good find on Jinjiao. I've been so impressed by his chains of corruptions. He tags LWX at the start of that fight. It spreads to another 3 members, so he's getting quadros every single one of these team fights. And it just looked like FPX kind of forgot about their primary objective right there. They went after ADD, and the front line collapsed because of it.
Let's see exactly how this one goes down, because you can see they're kind of in 2 minds, FPX, about whether or not they want to go for this Dragon, and they can't just lock down the Akali.
Wow.
Just that split second in which LWX was moving back down, trying to re-challenge the Dragon itself, while the rest of the team for FPX were moving up to try and challenge Akali. And then that was the difference between him being tagged by the Varus ultimate and Nautilus being tagged by Varus ultimate. So, yep, you lose the kill, and you weren't able to pick up the Akali on the back half.
You really feel the do-or-die spirit coming out from BLG right now. Their season will end if they do not take down this series. No points gathered in Spring Split. So even with the 0-3 deficit out of the bathroom break, you can feel them clawing so hard to get themselves back into a dominant position.
Right now, FPX have got their eyes on that juicy turret there on the bot side. Have got themselves some pretty decent vision control as well. As you can see, Doinb very, very deep behind the second turret in bot lane. Able to secure that one pretty easily for LWX. So they will get themselves a turret lead on top of this as GimGoon goes head-to-head with ADD. Misses the shuriken flip. Is able to get the parlays.
Oh my God.
And we can see ADD just has to back away.
I love that he's setting the barrels up so far away from him so he can get 2 sets of movement speed boost. Gets that much closer to ADD. GimGoon is definitely our best GP player. I know that we look towards Zoom, ADD's in the same game, but just throughout this split, he's been able to consistently prove that very fact.
That item lead is pretty damn disgusting from the game playing. Sure, he doesn't have Kleptomancy, but the early tower gold, just what he's been able to get from the turret plating, it's a lot more than the CS would indicate. And that also means that BLG can't really work for that split pushing strategy that they've been looking for. They were great with that one in the EDG series. However, against GimGoon, he's just not giving you an inch.
Right now, FPX just seeing if they can get some vision control up on that top side, recognizing that GimGoon is so far ahead, making sure that they keep him safe, keep him in relative safety that he can push this wave up. Yep,
and Clement was certainly, you know, looking towards the composition that FPX had. Well, actually, well, both teams have this, but he was talking about BLG. You're talking about how, you know, especially when Baron comes up, this is a pretty dang good composition to be able to just nail that, especially with how good they were able to have that bot side control. BLG should be able to replicate that now that they're being able to clear out the vision up top side.
Here comes the second question. How does this rise work out for Doinb? We've seen him do wondrous things on this champion, and whenever he gets map control, just a little bit of sunlight, he goes into your red side, he instantly teleports the entire team over to Baron. So you always have to be in constant awareness of how far you're getting pushed back. You cannot give up too much ground against this pick, or it's just instantly an objective.
And just as Raz was saying as well, the objective of the Baron, like the sneakiness that you can do it, just putting everybody on the realm war, put them in the backside. We've seen it so many times around the world being done from everybody. It's something that you have to be very aware of if you're on the side of BLG.
It's going to be a lot more of a calm game. I mean, if 6 kills in 21 minutes hasn't told you that already, from both sides, it really is going to be who gets control on side lane, and then you can end up rotating that with Doinb, of course, being the person who's been on side lane a little bit now, to rotate through mid, get a wave clear on that one, look for a play towards Baron, or for how long we've been able to play this one out, find a play on ADD himself on side lane. So it really depends on how large of a window you have to make a play on bot side and not get punished off a Baron take.
Probably won't see much action, like you said, very slow until that Baron takes. So overall, everyone just happy enough farming away. have got some pretty key items picked up. And actually, it's going to be the Wit's End picked up second there for the Varus as TN. Going to take a chunk of damage off of him there. Meteor looks for just another stack on his marks.
You have to mention that BLG have a relatively quick Baron team themselves with the percent HP damage and the Mountain Drake coming from Varus. So, you know, FPX can't just sit back and farm until they have all of their tier items stacked up. They do have to contest this.
What's making this difficult for BLG is the fact that the outer turrets of both top lane and mid lane are still up. You definitely need Meteor, who's doing a great job there pushing him off of Raptors, going up topside and finally getting GimGoon off this turret. It's kind of crazy the fact that he's able to have this turret up for so long with how much pressure Meteors have out topside. So thankfully that's going to be, you know, paid attention to. Issue is, there we go, second Cloud Drag now being picked up. Doinb is running roughshod on the bot side of the map.
He's already acquired a 30 CS lead, and it doesn't look like ADD is going to catch up to him anytime soon.
Finally.
So that's going to be a constant sore point. Oh, they're going for it.
They're going for it straight away. They still see Doinb in that bot side. He has got TP available to him. Now they know what's going down. It's down to about 50% HP. As you can see, ADD is playing keep away. Now they look for the fight. They're going to jump onto LWX, but it's going to be the Chains of Corruption landing onto Chris. They get their man. They get their kill. They're looking for the Tam Kench Abyssal Voyage. Not going to be able to go further enough, but overall they get a kill, but they lose bot lane tier 2.
Yeah, we're playing a very dangerous game. All FPX wants to do is stop them from picking up the Baron buff itself. Let's see if Rek'Sai can get the job done. Teleport coming through.
TP going to be used there as well as the one from LWX, excuse me. Baron does go down straight away and looks like they're going to try and jump onto this fight. The Emperor's Divide is not going to be enough to save Kuro. And now here comes Doinb. The Lamb's Respite going to have to be used to keep Meteor just about alive. He tries to get away, but he's just not able to find himself out of this fight. It will only be 2 people getting out of BLG, and they will only keep 2 Barons.
Now all comes down to what BLG can do with the 2 Barons left up. Because FPX is starting to ramp up the pressure. Doinb can't be answered to on the side lane. And if you saw what the team fight was looking like, GimGoon's getting to that stage as well. So let's see what BLG can do. They really have to start splitting up the map.
Yeah, really good find on that one for FPX. I like the decision making there. They knew they were going for the kill shot. They couldn't really contest the Baron. The timing was too late, and Kuro actually did a good job to deny the pit away from Tain. So FPX made the call that, you know what, they're going to get Baron, but we're going to get as many kills as physically possible, and look at what that has done for Doinb. He's going to be dominant on the side lane if he wasn't already.
Take a look at how much threat he's had here. Teleported straight through the mid lane, was able to run up and sure wasn't there on time to being able to, you know, contest for the Baron itself, but comes through on the right side on the flank. Kuro eviscerated on the backside, but Kindred Land Respite was necessary. Jinjiao, realizing how much damage was being put through, didn't look back. He's like, all right, I'm out of here. I need to protect as many Baron buffs as possible. I can't stick around. We have no shot.
Right now, just as you talked about Doinb being this monster on a side lane, even in a team fight or anywhere realistically, he's got himself 3 items, got that, you know, penetration as well with the Sork shoes. The guy has just got so much available to him, and this is why this Rise is so feared throughout the LPL.
And one of the things that I've looked towards in Doinb's career and criticized him for was his split pushing or lack thereof. Because a lot of the times he would want to pick up the fight, rotate to the other side of the map, and group up rather than taking the advantage that he has and really just challenging anyone who answers them in the lane. This time he's doing it excellently, but we might see a good fight here. Let's see what ends up happening.
Doinb's going to have the inner track to this one.
Oh, Doinb not needed at the moment, but is running up now. There's the cannon barrage to slow everybody down. They catch themselves a catfish. They try to choke up the legacy of Shurima. Lamb's Respite going to be used to keep him alive, but there's just too much damage. FPX are destroying BLG, and there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, Doinb hurts. Kuro found that out the hard way.
650 damage with just the EQ combo. He was fully stuck on the Ceres for a long time, and this is why you always ban Doinb's Rise away from him. They're looking for the finish in this one.
They're looking for the win. They're looking for their 3rd win of this series. Maybe a little bit too early in the game. The death timer's not quite there. They'll take the inhibitor. They'll get themselves out. FPX firmly in control of this game.
Yeah, better back timers. Because at the end of the day, they know that Jinjiao, XinMo, and Meteor would be able to hold the door. They're just worried about Kuro and ADD coming up and being able to look for a play while they're not, you know, still on the map. So take a look at this. Because all you need to focus on is Doinb coming out of the flank with a Banshee's Veil, so you can't even actually stop him.
Yeah, that was really well played on the side of FPX. Meteor and dodged out with his flash earlier to make sure that the battlefield was going to be dragged slowly towards the other side of the map. And it gives Doinb enough time to actually come in and make things happen for them. He's just doing so much damage at this point. I also really like the Rylai's build, since it's harder to set up the route for Rise right now. You have to land both the E and into the W. The slow allows you a lot more chase potential. 2
rotations of spells was 1,300 damage. That is insane amounts of damage coming out from just one guy who's also built relatively defensively.
Yeah, at this state, FPX has full control of the game, the series. They really are on that finals run. If they are able to pick this one up, nail it in the coffin, take a look at this positioning now. BLG do see him.
Yeah, they're going to use the Abyssal Voyage to try and catch him out. Now Doinb in a little bit of trouble. They drop down the Cannon Barrage. He has so much damage. He trades 1 for run. It's 2 for 1 overall in favor of FPX. They're trying to get Chris. They will take him. But BLG just don't have the help bars. They don't have the time. They don't have the damage. And now FPX will just take them down.
40-second death timers yet too. If you are FPX, get to work. On the waves that you have currently, mid lane wave is going to take some time, but I love what Tain is doing here. ADD's back timing, or at least going back to base, is going to really be delayed.
Yep, ADD could kill him technically.
Nah, it ain't going to happen.
But
Tian's
he's going to
not
stay
gonna let it
around.
happen.
Tain doesn't need to kill him. Actually, if anything, it's better that ADD just kind of stays in this no man's land between everybody. Gets himself nicely over the wall, but that's going to be another inhibitor and inhibitor turret going down. The minions are now flooding in. BLG lost 4,000 gold off of that play.
This is when desperation starts to set in. Kuro still has teleport alongside Jinjiao. FPX are still on the map.
They're looking for the double TB. Jinjiao, Kuro going to go for a GimGoon now. Going to be running straight into the Varus. They're going to look for him straight away. Will they be able to get him? The flash! The auto attack's not there! Kuro can't find it! Kuro will not take down GimGoon. And now BLG are thoroughly shaken.
40 HP on the GimGoon. Man, the Captain Pirate in the top lane, able to escape with a great speed up coming in from the barrels. The trial by fire takes him out of harm's way. Wow.
That just feels bad. At the end of the day, that was your desperation run because you knew FPX were still on the map. They greeted for that next, the inhibitor turret itself. You wanted to be able to find that fight, and the fact that he was able to run out scot-free is saddening. And now if you're BLG, you need to find more plays, group up as much as you can, and look for the rise.
He survived because of the corrupting potion. Still kept that on even though he's close to full build. And that was the difference between BLG taking over the map and FPX now in their current position looking to take down this next Baron.
Remember this as the day you almost caught Captain GimGoon as he gets himself away, but right now we're kind of settling down a little bit again. We got some summoners coming back up. We got some definite, items being completed. Now you're looking at 3 items, 4 actually, I should say, on the side of LWX. And this team of FPX, they're just in control.
Oh, Crisp has found it.
Crisp has found a hook. They're going to drop down the Legacy of Sarima to try and build this one up. Redemption comes in as well. They're actually up at the top side as well. Crisp goes down. They take down ADD. He is out of this fight. They trade a top laner for a support. XinMo trying to save his Azir. They don't know there's much he can do. There's the Lamb's Respite, but for how long? It's a good Shurima shuffle to keep everybody alive, and this Azir is still going. This Azir is trying his best to keep inside, and his BLG hopes alive. But GimGoon and Doinb say no, and they take down everybody.
You just know what's going to happen when those big blue characters just start striking the map. Rise is just so huge at this stage. 7, 1, and 5. You can really just go for the Baron, 2-man it. BLG cannot stop you.
I love how direct that initiation was. He was just walking towards them with the Moby boots and saying, you know what? You have no business being on the map. This side of the map is going to be mine. They have the Realm War popped as well. You just cannot get away from FPX when you're behind, and they have Doinb on Rise.
Great play from Kuro to actually keep that going from horribly wrong. BLG, had that not been a great Shurima shuffle and actually taking down Tain and LWX, thank you, it would have been literally game over. So the fact that they were able to trade equally, keep themselves on the map, it means they still have a chance.
It's the first time that we got to see BLG's composition go to work. Because the Azir ultimate alongside the Kindred ultimate was what you picked it for. I mean, great assassination coming in from LWX, but the moment you saw the full committal from Doinb and GimGoon, finally you see the Azir sweep him out, you get the Rek'Sai as a result, And, you know, you still had members that were able to run out scot-free and XinMo and Jinjiao. So let's see if we get a better result here, because thinking about you being able to get a kill on Doinb is that kind of go-to goal.
That minion wave has to be blessed by the BLG fans, because if that minion wave wasn't there, you would see multiple overloads spreading across the remaining members onto BLG, and Doinb would have killed all of them. Very lucky and fortunate scenario for BLG to actually walk away with that one.
We're getting towards that potential moment, gentlemen, where one last fight should be the meaning of death or life for either of these teams. Do we go to a Game 5, or do FPX sealing their invitation to the finals in Shanghai next week?
The old kind of history that BLG had, you know, BLG mantra was like, there are the miracle runs. They had the miracles. Unfortunately, you know, with the big change that they had for like, the complete roster reshuffle, Jinjiao really being the only original member, you know, they've been a far more stable team. Instead of looking for that Hail Mary play, they're a team that's willing to sit it out and wait for that one big team fight. So I want to see if they still have something in them, because they do still need to find one risk to being able to get a pick either onto LWX or Doinb in this case.
Got some big items finished up, though. They finally got the Void Staff onto Azir, so he's going to be shredding even more. Infinity Edge finished up for the Varus. You are looking down, however. 4 items for the LWX has got that Quicksilver Sash in the form of a Mercurial Scimitar. And right now, BLG, they just need to hold out for one more minute. If they can hold for another minute, it means the Baron buff is over and they get another chance.
Most important part of the game is about to come, though. Both waves crashing in right now. They cannot deal with Doinb, but he's going to challenge them alone. And let's see what ends up happening if BLG looks for the fight, knowing that he's going to be looking for the bot lane inhibitor.
There is no displacement on FPX. If they start the fight and BLG group up, they could keep all of their carries alive, and it doesn't take long for Kuro to decimate FPX. They're looking to stay bunched up and to make sure they get one big final 5v5.
We do see the Realm Warp used to transport some minions up there, but there is a Legacy of Shrima turret up in there, keeping everybody safe, keeping that bot lane in check, and that's helping out BLG. 25 seconds left now on this Baron buff, and it looks like it's going to be two sides of this fight for FPX.
Meteor needs to be with the main team. He needs his ultimate there, so he can't be the one answering to Doinb and Tain on the bot side of the map.
Does look like BLG have to give up some rune here. They're probably going to give up the bottom side and try to make a last stand on this mid inhibitor.
The sad reality,
leaving the minions to do the work.
The sad reality is they need Jinjiao to be able to wave clear on that one, but he would be the easiest person to pick out if you're a Rise in this scenario. So, you know, there are no easy answers. That's why most of the time the best response is to force the fight now, rather than getting both of your inhibitors chipped out slowly.
They will lose the Mountain Drake. They're not going to be too sad about that one. But the most important thing is BLG's base was not cracked. There are no super minions. There are no pressure in any of those side lanes. And now FPX got to go back and try and get the advantage somewhere else.
That was surprisingly measured by FPX. They had an open inhibitor in the bot side, only 200 HP away, and they actually backed off for it. They went for the Mountain Drake, trying to hold on to their advantage. So you feel the tension in this game going down. FPX knows what's at stake, what their legacy looked like, what happened in Game 4 versus JD Gaming. They're looking to not repeat that.
Important item picked up here. LWX has got his Zhonya's Hourglass. That could be huge in an ensuing team fight. If he's able to survive and continue to put out damage, it could be all over for BLG, but that's a lot of ifs. We'll have to see how the team fight goes.
The greatest thing about semi-AP Kai'Sa is just the amount of protection you can have for yourself.
Yes.
Tahm Kench was taken away first round by BLG, no problem. We have seen LWX backfire a lot of the times when he goes in for this fight, but with this type of a build, he's pretty much surefire not going to die if he does be the one initiating, and he has Doinb to back him up.
Let's see what GP buys. Yeah! So he's had that BF sword for quite some time, and so I was interested to see when he would be able to get that big pickup. Now, you have a beasting gangplank for these fights.
Overall, both teams leveling up to critical mass, if you like. Super Saiyan GP almost acquired. As we look to see now what the next objective is going to be. Almost certainly going to be the Baron in 30 seconds, but it's going to be very difficult to BLG to even leave their base to try and get any information about it.
Oh, this is definitely like the GP you don't want to fight, no matter what. So from the FPX's side, you have a Kaisu's got herself full build on the AP side. You know, certainly scared of that one, especially now that you have to be afraid of her poke, now that she's got a lot of AP in that W, and a lot of CDR on that. Doinb, we've already seen what damage he's done there. I rest my case. And now GimGoon's along in that charge. ADD needs to be afraid of what's coming in his way.
Those overloads are doing 1,200 damage. Doinb, though, respectful splash, does not have that summoner. Good little move there from BLG, gets a summoner out of the mid laner.
The lockdown just isn't there from the side of BLG. You're basically relying on Jinjiao's ultimate, and even then you need to fully commit to the fight.
The Abyssal Voyage was also quite a lot to be used right there. That does mean they cannot make up lost ground if FPX push them out of the position, and it forces them to contest at close quarters against this composition.
This is so tense. They've got GimGoon just pushing in that mid lane. Inhibitor will fall. BLG need to make a choice. They're going for the Baron. There's a huge chunk on those Ws you talked about there. Trying to go for it. Tien is there. And it looks like it's going to be a Baron first or base race. No, stolen Baron is Tien's just trying to stop backs right now. He's trying to get Meteor. They're trying to get as much as they possibly can. But FPX have made the right call. FPX sent everybody to deal with the Nexus turrets. They will end the game and take the series 3-1.
Just like that. FPX have nailed their position in the finals, have that ticket for Worlds, and drink down that drink right there. I don't know what happened. BLG were definitely drinking a lot of water at the beginning of this game, but now you're definitely drinking down that success if you're FPX.
I am so happy for Doinb. We've seen him become a legend, become an MVP, and now he finally has the credentials to say that I deserve it. This was his story coming into this series. Him just taking off the drapes, the shadows of what happened in previous playoffs, and you can see how jubilant he is to finally stand in front of the Beijing crowd and say, you know what, your faith in the MVP of the LPL has not been misplaced.
What does that say, Clement?
This says that FPX have officially locked their way to the 2019 Worlds Group Stage.
There we go. They found themselves a third place finish in the spring split. I was a little bit worried coming into the summer split. But now, where's JD with their finalist finishes? Where's Invictus Gaming with theirs? With all the competition out of the way, that's when you start to focus on the main players here for FPX.
And look how much it means to the players. They know what they've done. They've achieved what they set out to do, and that's how much it means to them.
All 5 of these players will be making their first trip to Worlds. It's not just Doinb's story, it's LWX's story, it's Chris' story, it's GimGoon, who's been on GT, who's been around the league for a long time, and finally it is Tain, the new, one of the best junglers we have in the LPL. In fact, recognized by most of his peers as the most dominant. He's finally going to get the chance to shine to more than just the LPL audience.
For Tain, on the bench to the World Championships. What a year it has been, and he's got more to come. They have locked not only Worlds, but they've also locked in their place in the LPL Finals. 3-1, Spawn and yourself, Raz, called it. You can't really go wrong, but that was a very, very clutch call by FPX right at the end.
It's the creativity, you know, it's that level of creativity that you don't get to see much of around the world. For me, I look at a few teams that had that in the past. 2018, definitely IG. In fact, 2019 Spring Invictus Gaming. But right now, I look to G2 and I say they have that. And I look towards the LPL and say FPX has had that as well, but FPX hasn't had the opportunity to represent LPL in the international competitions. Now they get that chance, and they have a pretty good chance in front of them, being the favorites to win out the LPL finals. So pretty crazy situation that we're in right now for Doinb, Tain, who you saw a lot of emotions riding on for him, that, you know, it's now a reality that you're in this spot.
Yeah, FunPlus Phoenix has had a rough year. They were dominant, they were the best student in the class, but they just didn't seem to make the best college just yet, and finally they nailed their ticket down onto this road. I think the world will be surprised by how strong FPX actually is. For them to go to a world stage and to actually match up with teams outside of Asia, that is going to be so exciting to see.
At the end of the day, it's a long year for a lot of these players. And if you're thinking it from their viewpoint, they had these expectations, you know, with their first place finish in the regular season of spring, that they would be able to make it to the finals, and that wasn't the reality, because they ended up losing in Game 4 in a very tilting fashion when they had a huge lead for themselves. And in Game 5, when they had such a huge lead once again, at the very beginning of the game, that they ended up dropping it to JD and now finding themselves in that exact same situation. A lot of the times players stay up all night, crossing their fingers. Please don't have that happen again. there's a lot riding on it, and they were able to nail it in a pretty commanding fashion, so a lot to go for the players themselves.
Yeah, a lot of extra precaution in the last couple of steps right there. Being just on the small analytical side, BLG didn't really have an answer there, because if they backed off, it was instant Baron take coming in from FPX. So they had to contest, they had to draw FPX out. Unfortunately, FPX responded in the best way possible. 2 members going up to stop the Baron pit, and then already 2 members, LWX and GimGoon, barreling down the mid lane.
So at the end of the day, we've said a lot about FPX and the position they're currently in, so big congratulations for them. For BLG, it's a tough road now, because for that team, now they're hoping very much so that TOP doesn't find themselves in the finals. Because if TOP is in the finals, then your road is over. You're going to be essentially now kind of battling it out to find yourself in the gauntlet for the 3rd seed.
Yeah.
Actually, to be fair, that was just going to be a situation for them no matter what, because if FPX or if Top Esports of RNG find themselves in the finals, that's going to be the case. But it's going to be a hard run now for BLG to be able to make it to that.
It becomes basically a situation where if it is a Top Esports FPX final, you need to get 3rd place if you're RNG or if you're BLG.
Yes.
So that becomes a do or die to get into the gauntlet. JDG will have acquired enough points to make it into that gauntlet for themselves.
And so just a small point for everybody to know what the gauntlet even looks like, because a lot of the teams that have points right now are not at this stage of the tournament. So Invictus Gaming have 90 points. They're certainly going to be finding themselves in the gauntlet. You know, JD are essentially that team that's looming over a lot of the teams right now, that if they don't find that 3rd place finish, then JD can take that slot. So there's a lot happening here for the gauntlet run, but going back to the main point, a big congratulations for FPX on their win tonight.
Yeah, I feel bad for BLG, because if they were on any other side of the bracket, I actually would put them as the favorites to make it out. It's just unfortunate that FPX, probably one of the worst matchups that they could have faced, and I still hope that they have a chance to prove themselves in Gauntlet going forward, because I do think that coming out of the last regular split, they were our 2nd best performing team. 6 straight wins to make it into the playoff, absolutely crushing RNG in a straight 2-0 fashion at their home arena in Beijing. So this was one of those matchups that very could have been a finals, given if the brackets were shaken up.
And I want to kind of touch on the small histories, because we did talk about Doinb as a player and what long road he's had in the LPL, you know, being bounced to the LSPL because of the drama that happened on Newbie at the time, finding himself in there, never really winning the big chip, but getting really close to it. But you think about, like, Tain as a player, you already kind of talked about the fact that he was benched on Suning, so it's kind of funny for Suning. Suning, a team that got bounced out in the 1st round of the playoffs, that had the opportunity to have Knight and Tain on your roster, and for whatever reason that you weren't able to keep that. So that was the whole Young Miracles duo that you had initially built up, and then, I mean, they found their own run. Top Esports has Knight, and they're making a run for the finals. It would be a really funny, you know, finals to be in, for Knight versus Tain going up against each other. Brothers in arms on Young Miracles once was on Suning, not the case any longer.
And when you're playing for that particular match, like just kind of adding to the grandeur of it, you're both guaranteed for Worlds. So you're literally playing for the LPL title at that stage. There's no way that, you know, you're going to be able to let that go, even if it is your brothers in arms.
Yeah, because a lot of teams that have found international success didn't find that success within the LPL based winning off finals. Remember, RNG found the international success first, finding MSI title, before they even got LPL, or even like specifically Uzi here, were finding the LPL final championship themselves. So, like, he had to be able to find that chip, and he was really hungry for it. And then you look towards Invictus Gaming, won Worlds, took them 2019 spring to get the LPL championship for themselves. It's incredibly competitive, the LPL that is. And so being able to go through that entire gauntlet run and then nail it with the finals win is a tough one that some teams have been able to find for themselves, and FPX are really hungry to get.
A lot of coaches actually said they view the LPL playoffs as more competitive than the World's group stage by far. You know, it does prove the point that both RNG and IG had found World success and then found the LPL championship. So that's just how competitive it really is going down to it. And we still have 3 teams left that have a chance to clinch that LPL championship for themselves. RNG, Top Esports, and FPX that advanced today.
And to be fair to that point, that's very true. A lot of the times, if you want to have aspirations for championships at Worlds, you need to have a strong enough region that sets you up for that. LCK has always had a really tough position in which you're gonna, like, sure, you're fighting really heavily to get out of there because it's the 4th place teams, it's the 5th place teams that are stronger than a lot of the international 1st and 2nd place teams. So it feels like since, for me, when Franchisement came through in 2018, you finally had an environment in which the top 5 teams were super competitive and worlds ready, like JD were at the time. And so JD, Rogue Warriors, they all could have been in an international tournament and would have done well in the group stage. So this is all looking pretty far forward towards Worlds itself, but if we're just talking about the immediate future, an immediate future of FPX versus RNG or FPX versus top esports is an exciting one for me.
I was going to say, like, this was the FPX we wanted to see. This is regular split FPX. This is the transition towards that kind of, like, top-tier team that we've been waiting for, and they just look good.
Yes, because that curse was a thing that so many people were worried about. The curse of Doinb performing well in a regular season, getting an MVP for himself. Now, of course, he didn't get MVP this split. Maybe that's the ticket. Just going to put that out there for
Before
everybody.
you go on.
And then finds himself, you know,
MVP?
really struggling to get there. But who got MVP for that one?
You mentioned his name just a few seconds ago. It was Doinb who picked up the MVP in that game. And can you blame people for choosing him? He had a monstrous game on this rise.
Totally worth it. 400 CS collected that over there, and the side lane potential from Doinb is what really separates him from a lot of different mid laners. I don't think there is a split pusher and a shot caller coming from the mid lane on any other team. He's able to do both with Rise, have the late game potential, and that's why you always ban it away from him.
I'm kind of sad that they didn't show us the damage percentage in which he had. They're just showing vision score. But at the end of the day, it was the damage that really made the difference. This team fight, you respected the damage, especially when you thought you were in, you know, you're inside the Lamb's respite, you can last a little longer. No, blinking red HP bars, you need to get out of there.
There's twice in this series that Doinb was able to outpush the split pusher coming from BLG, shutting their composition down, and not much they could do for it. Just watch this rotation go down from Doinb as he takes Kuro's life with just that single double overload, killing him instantly under tower.
And a 4v1, he comes out with a 1v1 trade, and this actually looked kind of okay for the side of BLG, but even then they had to invest so much just to kill off Doinb. And, you know, it's very rare that we have a game where, you know, the team that lost took 2 Barons.
Yes. Like, it's kind of crazy for us to be in this situation, and for as much praise that Doinb is getting because he and Tain were that, like, basically the puzzle pieces alongside Warhorse that turned this team from a 7th place team that was barely scraping into the playoffs to a championship contender now. And so that's pretty exciting. Another thing too is, at the end of the day, it's not as if the other players are bored. Like, they are great players. Like, they are top 4, top 3 in their positions. LWX this split has nailed himself as a top 3 AD carry pretty easily in the LPL. And then you look towards top side, GimGoon, I've already said that he's right now the best top laner in the LPL. Incredibly good on weak side, incredibly good on strong side. What we've seen numerous times off his Silas play, GP play, and I think the Renekton play is a really good one as well. But at the end of the day, you respect these players for being spectacular talent that is now pieced together and working as a unit.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if when the top 20 players of Worlds comes out that all 5 of these players are in that one. But I do believe we have got a winner's interview going to be translated by the glorious Clement.
I can try my hand at it.
You can try, but I'm going to stick with Clement. And we're going to send it down to the stage now.
Hello， 欢迎来到赛后采访环节，我是主持人雨薇。首先恭喜
Welcome
FunPlus
everyone
拿下
to
本场
post-game
比赛的
interview.
胜利，
I'm
成功
Yue,
进入到了我们的
post-game
总决
interviewer.
赛。那我们赛后采访邀请到了林伟翔
We
和
have
战马教练。
LWX
那
and
在这里先
Warhorse
跟大
on
家打个招呼
stage.
吧。
Can you say hello to everyone?
大家好，我是 FunPlus 的
Hello, I'm
ADC 林伟翔。
FunPlus's ADC, LWX. And hello,
大家好，我是 FunPlus 教练战马。
I am FunPlus's coach, Warhorse.
好，欢迎2位。那也是让我们跟随着 Happy 一起进入我们的 Happy 欢乐时光。首先第一个问题要问到的是，
First
我们都知道 FunPlus 一直在常规赛是一个领跑的状态。
FPX has always been a leader in regular split, but during the playoffs, it seems like you guys have some sort of curse. Were you very nervous before the games?
紧张的话没有，因为
In terms of
我们都觉得
nervousness,
对面
I
不是我们
wasn't.
对手。
哇，还是非常的自信的。
And we were very confident that we could defeat our opponents.
第一局是一改以前比较稳健的运营风格，拿下了比较主动
In
的
the
一个阵
first
容。
game,
那么当时第一局被拿下之
BLG
后，
actually
比赛后
played a
面
very
是怎么进
aggressive
行调整的？
composition and defeated you. How did you adapt following that opener.
大家有点久没有比赛，所以
I feel like we were a bit rusty coming out the gate,
跟之前
so our
比较
performance
起来其实比较差，所以我
was
觉得
worse than normal.
第一场失利之
After
后，我觉
game
得
one,
就鼓励他们吧，就打出自己
I
的
just
风格，我
tried
们就
to
能赢
cheer
下这
them
个
up
比赛。
and say that
那
if
么
we
今
played
天
our
我发现
style,
前
we
两局
could
比赛其实是给
secure
到
the
下
series.
路的阵容都是比较线上比较压制的嘛。那么今天是
You
有
have
打算
always
在
selected
下路
more
拿到这
dominant
个
bot
突
lane
破这个缺
duos.
口嘛？
Did
我
you
们队的
specifically
选角
aim
基本上就是
to
跟着
make
版本
that
走吧，在这个版本
the
上
the
假如
break
容易
point?
打开局势的话，
I
我
think
觉
we're
得
just
可以
going for
选
the
择
meta,
是的
and
他
I
们
think
今
in
天
this
也
meta,
表
the
现得很
bot
好，在
lane
每一场比赛
is
突然间都
the
能取到很
easiest
好的优
lane
势。
是今
to
天我们的另一位
to
强
to
选
get
手也是表
advantage
现得
out
非常
of.
好，包括
So
我
we
们可以
just
看到
try
第
to
三局
invest
的时候，
heavily
你有
there
很
and
多
get a
次
lead.
都做出了一些越塔单杀，你的队友也给你扛塔，给你很多支持。
LWX today
你
we
觉
saw
得你
you
这赛季
go
的进步最大
behind
的
the
地方在
tower
哪里呢？
and just get multiple solo kills. What was your
第一天
biggest
少死了
upgrade
比以前
this
少死了一
season?
点，更加
I
稳
feel
定
like
了
I
一点
just。die
那
less.
么也是这赛季拿到了击杀王和 MVP
This
第二
split
名嘛，有
you
没有什么
were
最想
the
感谢的人
second
在这里
highest
可以跟
in
大
the
家说
MVP
一下
votes, and you are also the king of the Slayers. You got the most kills in the split. What do you have to say? I really want to thank my teammates and thank
那
Warhorse.
么可以看到最
They
后一
gave
局
me a
你
lot of
们
good
当
tips.
时非常焦灼，一边在打大龙，一边在推塔。
In game
当时你们队内
5,
语音是怎么沟通
it
的？
seems like it was very tense in the situation. How did you guys communicate that?
船长大招可以打断他们，我们可以一波。
So
其实
we
呢
knew
在
that Gameplank's
下
ultimate
海的
could
时候
stop
我有
them
看
from
到小田选手
backing,
好
and
像
we
比较
could
激
take
动，
that
流
in
下
one
激动的泪水
sweep.
嘛。那不知道教练对于这个赛
We
季
just saw
小天的
Tain
表现，能不能给我们做出一个评价呢？
Shed some tears on stage. Can you give some evaluations on Tian's performance this split? I think Tian's been a constantly improving
哇，
and
真
top
的评
tier
价非常
jungler.
高，是我们 LPL 国产的顶尖打野。
I
那么其
believe
实最后
he
一个问
is
题想问到
the
教练，会比较
best
皮
jungler
一些。
coming out of the
队内
LPL,
一
the
直
best
是存在着
domestic
一个
jungler
地
coming
位
out.
之争。那么不知道可以问到教练吗？咱们队内的食物链顶端的那个人到底是谁
Can you
呢？
explain the food chain in
顶端的
FPX?
话，他们应该是不太敢对我造次。
哦，
The top of the food chain
最高的话
don't
选手不太确
really,
定，但最低的应该是我旁边的。
they're not,
最低的
they
确
don't
定
have
的
the
但
guts
是
to
我
go
发现
against
教
me,
练是很有
but
自
I
信
can
的
tell
继
you
续
who the lowest
他
person on the
最低是因为
food
他
chain
脾气最
is.
好可以
It
接
is
受全部的
LWX.
开玩笑
Why
所
is
以
that?
最低的
Well,
所以我
LWX
们
has
想
the
说
best
脾气也是
demeanor,
非常
so
好
he
但是
can
我
take
发
a
现
lot
教
of
练好
jokes,
像也说
and that's why he
队
also
员
gets a
不
lot
敢
of
对
shit.
自己造次，说明可能队内的地位可能教练也要掺杂进去了。好，那
So
么
it
来
seems
到
like
哈
the
尔
coach
滨
definitely
啤酒
is the
潮玩
top
社
dog
区
on
的
the team.
水友提问，第一个问
And
题要
we're
问
going to
到李
take
伟
a
翔同
question
学。最近
from the
李伟
fans.
翔总是被夸好帅，包括很多粉丝
Recently, a
都
lot
叫
of fans
李
have
伟
been
翔
saying
哥
that
哥
you
你
look
好
so
帅啊
handsome.
那你听到这些言论
When
的
you
时候，
hear
心里
that,
是什么感觉？
What do you feel like?
我觉得他们说的挺对的。
I think they're absolutely
说
correct.
得挺对的。就我发现选手在接受这些表扬的时候，可能脸上只是淡淡的一笑，我相信他们心里一定都是心花怒放的。所以我们的粉丝们也不要吝啬对选手们的夸奖。那下一个问题也是我们的水友想要问到。
Thank you very much, Clement. World's qualification, finals berth, and the most handsome man according to the staff. Or
Did
fans.
lose a lot of weight between spring and summer. That man is reformed. He's completely changed, and I should do the same.
Give me some energy. Give me some of that fat. I do need it. I need it. People know that.
So bringing us back then, obviously,
Require
back to what we're looking forward to, of course. We got to look forward to tomorrow's games. Who is
Yeah.
going to be going up against FPX? FPX locked in. Tomorrow, it's going to be you guys and Hysterics casting RNG versus Top Esports. And this one has a couple of people divided.
Yeah, this is a really tough one. For me, RNG trumps because of their experience. They've been here, they've done that, while Top Esports has not really shown a very stable performance during their playoff run, and that is going to be my biggest difference maker. RNG is just the veterans of the league,
Yes.
and I think with their bot lane, they should be able to trump over.
I don't think there's a single person out there that can make a correct call except for King Razstradamus. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm
go
not-
ahead. What's your
No,
call?
I lied. I haven't. There's no one. Can,
He hasn't
because at the
thought
end of the
about
day,
it.
because at the end of the day, no, I would come in and I'm just gonna make a spoiler alert. By the way, is that I think that RNG is a team that should be able to take it, but like should be is such a contentious word because for Top Esports is the higher seeded team, looked far better. In the specific matchup during the regular season, Top Esports got the better of RNG. And so at the end of the day, we're just talking about pound for pound talent. Top Esports should do it. But when they got to the major stage in Rift Rivals, when they got to the major stage in last split playoffs, a lot of those players in the top side of the map ended up crumpling. And you really require that. You can't just play through Loken and Ben. It's not that they're bad players, but if we're just talking about what the style is for the team, it's for 369, XX, and Knight to perform. And Knight is performing, and no matter where he is. It's more
MVP.
so, exactly. It's more so the 369 and XX to play as well as they are in the regular season. I think, as you've mentioned, you touched on it, the veteranship of RNG can carry over. It's pretty overwhelming. And so it just comes down to what you guys believe.
We've seen this ship kind of flip over before in the spring split when it was up against JD Gaming, the breaker of dreams and hopes. So this one's going to be a lot closer than expected. And like you were touching on, it was actually a 2-0 in Top Esports in Knight's favor during the regular split. Knight completely destroyed Xiaohu, who we thought before that was probably the best performing mid laner. So it really is mid-jungle battle for me. Karsa, Xiaohu, Knight, Xiongxiong.
This has been a split where mid laners is definitely, I mean, mid laners in general always get a lot of the flair, but have been running for MVP. It was for us, Xiaohu versus Knight. And that series really went in favor of of Knight, mostly because Top Esports plays towards Knight consistently. Not only is it incredibly mechanical, like he's an insane mechanical mechanic. If they do not make Worlds, heartbreak for Knight specifically because of how strong he is. I think he is the best current performing mid laner in the world that not a lot of the people will give much attention to because he ain't going to an international event, right? And that's the main takeaway from him. We'll see what ends up happening because if they end up picking up that win over RNG, they also are the second team to get locked in for the LPL for Worlds. So
yep,
that's
they lock in their spot, and I think, overall, it's going to be a very closely, fought match, and I think I'm excited to watch it myself and excited to see more of your analysis on it tomorrow. But for now, that is all we have time for, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much to everyone at home. Thank you so much to my beautiful analysts, my illustrious analysts.
Get the afro
Yeah, I
out.
was like, where's the afro?
Where's the afro?
Where's it gone?
Yeah. Beautiful.
Rastradamus.
Beautiful. This is now for my laptop.
It's now your laptop afro. And of course, thank you to our production team behind the scenes. Without them, none of this will be possible. But for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for. And we will see you again tomorrow.